All right, let's do this again. Aloha. That was beautiful. Because what I'm trying to get to is the fact that within the songs, Hawaii is aloha, aloha is Hawaii. We are aloha. We are it. Every part of who we are and what we are like within the public outside of these walls should be aloha, right? Where we give, and I've been repeating this quite a bit lately, where Rel's son, one of our premier surf instructors in Haleiwa, she was a symbol of aloha through and through, and she passed away in the 80s. And she would always say that with aloha, you give and give and give until you think you cannot give anymore. And then when you get to that point that you cannot give anymore, you give some more. Because we are aloha. That is every part of our being and who we are meant to be. So today is not about aloha. However, it is about aloha. And so I'm going to talk about Maupopo, which is understanding. And today is my mom's birthday, actually, July 31st. And what a beautiful day to be able to share this message of understanding, because I get to use my mom as a bit of an example of how she raised us as well. So I'm going to start off with Proverbs 4. I think I'm going to go 1 through 7, but it kind of sets the tone for seeking understanding, seeking wisdom. And I did give a talk a couple of months back regarding wisdom, na'au'au. And this ties in perfectly with that message as well. But Proverbs 4, 1 through 9, it says, "Listen, my sons, to a father's instruction. Pay attention and gain understanding. I give you sound learning, so do not forsake my teaching. For I too was a son to my father, still tender and cherished by my mother. And then he taught me, and he said to me, take hold of my words with all your heart. Keep my commandments, and you will live. Get wisdom, get understanding. Do not forget my words or turn away from them. Do not forsake wisdom. She will protect you. Love her, and she will watch over you. The beginning of wisdom is this. Get wisdom, though it cost you all you have. Get understanding. Cherish her, and she will exalt you. Embrace her, and she will honor you. She will give you a garland to grace your head and present you with a glorious crown." Maupopo. We sang about it in He Hawaiiau, that if we understand within the song who we really are, our connection to this aina, that no matter where we travel throughout the world, this aina will continuously call us to come home. And for us, we have a local way of, or a Hawaiian traditional sense of how we were raised and taught, the things to watch out for in nature. It's not done a traditional Western way. And so I'm going to kind of break that down a little bit and share some olelo no'eau as well. So I know this is not particularly about aloha, but this is one of my favorite quotes, and it's supposed to have come from Queen Liliuokalani. So aloha means to hear what is not said, to see what cannot be seen, and to know the unknowable. So understanding to me comes with not just the physical things in front of us, the things that we have to mechanically learn. That's not really the depth of knowing. That is a fraction of knowing. But really the truth of knowing comes with how we close our eyes and feel the wind, how we can feel the energy of the earth, how I can hear the birds outside, how I can feel the energy of this church itself, and all of you. That comes with a deeper sense of understanding. That comes with a deeper sense of intention and connection and making sure that we are ma'a, or open and knowledgeable of one another, to know that we exist without barriers, that we exist without these walls of separation. So understanding comes again with accepting all of that there's no separation between you and I. So in order to understand, we have to go deep through observation, patience, constant study, perseverance, willingness, and patience. And I wrote it earlier, you cannot have wisdom without understanding, to have understanding, you must become intimate with the things you are trying to understand. You must be willing to let go of your own mental constructs, which is why the word was perfect today, to let go and let God. You must be willing to let go of your own mental constructs. Then you will begin to learn, to know, and to understand. Maupopo. Today, Maupopo understanding is a part of the 12 powers of man. It is 7th, representing, July. And the 31st day, the last day of the month, where we get to talk about understanding. And it's not like we only talk about it within that time that it falls of the 12 powers. Because you can talk about it anytime, and I would hope that we can talk about it anytime, because it is forever connective to all the rest of the powers. So 2 months ago, I spoke about Na'au, which is wisdom. And in that sermon, I spoke about Na'au as well, how we feel, how the Na'au is the seat of our knowing. That is where we get that intuition. That is where we get that kind of stir to know that something is right or something is wrong. And we have to trust that feeling with Na'au. So that is very important to put along with Maupopo. So Maupopo is defined as to understand, recognize, to realize, to see things clearly, plainly. That is understanding. We can say Maupopo loa, to understand clearly or be definitive. Maupopo maikai, Maupopo le'a, obvious, evident, or clearly understood. And then I have shared before where we put the ho'o in the front of that, like ho'o nau'au or ho'o Maupopo. The ho'o is to push us into doing it, to imbue, to be it, to do it. That is the ho'o. So we cannot just say that Maupopo is understanding. We have to ho'o Maupopo. We have to really move to understand, to observe, to witness, to experience, to feel, and then that understanding can come together. And those definitions come from, of course, Mary Pukui's Hawaiian dictionary. I'm going to go through the metaphysical meaning and understanding of understanding, and then bring it together with the olelo no eau. So metaphysically, understanding is God is supreme knowing. That in man which comprehends is understanding. It knows and comprehends in wisdom. Its comparisons are not made in the realm of form, but in the realm of ideas. So it's not about the physical. It's about our ideas, about our imagination. It knows how to accomplish things. Spiritual discernment reveals that knowledge and intelligence are auxiliary to understanding. So 2 ways of getting understanding. One is by following the guidance of Spirit to lead us and to teach us, and that dwells within us. And the other is to just walk the path that we're going to walk and make our mistakes as we go, and experience will come because of those mistakes. Of course, understanding has to come with that as well. So intellectual understanding, and to me this is kind of a Western definition of understanding. Intellectual understanding of truth is a tremendous step in advance of sense consciousness, and its possession brings a temptation to use for selfish ends the wisdom and power thereby revealed. So that is, to me, the Western side of understanding. The more Hawaiian side that we connect with here, and how most of us were raised in Hawaii, if we come from that type of family, is this spiritual understanding. It is the quickening of the spirit within. Spiritual understanding is the ability of the mind to apprehend and realize the laws of thought and the relation of ideas one to another. No separation, right? That is our spiritual understanding. So we'll dive into just a few olelo no eau, and they are proverbs, really, that Auntie Kavena Pukui put together to teach us, to help us to get a better grip on the understanding or the ways of our ancient Hawaiians, the way they thought, the way they used poetry, really, to describe how we should live our lives. So the first one is ika nana noa ike. By observing, one learns. That is Olelo no Iau 1186.
The second is, a'ohe pau ka ike I ka hālau ho okāhi. All knowledge is not taught in the same school. There are many sources of knowledge. And to me, this is important because I grew up learning to sing in church. I learned to sing in community college. When I went to college, of course, I studied voice. I focused on opera. And so I started to learn, the Italian, the German, the French ways of singing. And as much as everything was kind of squished into that time frame of the 4 years that I was in college getting my bachelor's degree, I really learned nothing in college. It was when I left college that I really started to observe and understand and be able to experience what that life really looked like, right? Traveling to New York and singing, traveling to LA and singing some more, studying with the great Seth Riggs, who was an incredible voice teacher who taught me so much that the university system could never teach me. And so the school was not just the degree that I got from University of Hawaii. The school really continues to this day. I've never left school. I continuously learn how to sing, how to be able to present myself and the stories that I share through the luau's that I do in Waikiki and on the other islands. Everything is important because this message of aloha has to be shared. And I am the tool, I am the vessel that is able to share this message. So that school is never out. That school is always in session. So many, many different schools. This Olelo Noe'au, however, the one that I'm going to share with you next is my favorite. And my favorite because it was instilled into us over and over and over again by our grandparents, by my parents, by my father especially. But it says, Nana kamaka, ho'olohe ka pepe'au, pa'a kawaha. Which means observe with your eyes, listen with your ears, and I put it nicely over here, close your mouth. But really it was, shut your mouth. And so Kanoi and I were talking back there, and that was the thing that she reiterated was, pa'akawaha, pa'akawaha, shut your mouth, shut your mouth. There's not your turn to talk. When it is your turn to talk, then the teacher would tell you, what do you think? What do you feel? What is your observation? But the whole point of Hawaiian learning was to be quiet, to listen, to observe, to absorb, to practice, and at the end of it all, to ask questions at the end. So I'm going to go through a few things of how I was raised. And you may have your own list of things that you can pull from, because all of us, I'm sure, were embedded, or these things were embedded within us. So the first is to respect everything and everyone. This is huge in Hawaiian culture, right? To respect others. And that's what aloha stands for. That's what, malama is to take care of one another, same thing. Another one was no kids were allowed to be at the dinner table. When the adults were at the table, it was the adults' time to eat and to talk story. And their stories were not for the little ones to learn. So the children had to sit in a different place and mind their own business. They could not be at the table with the adults. If it's raining, we were always taught never go hiking in the rain. Don't stay on the low part of the valley. Get up higher. If it is raining, make sure that you're staying away from where the riverbeds are. Never turn your back on the ocean. Here in Hawaii, that should be the first law, right? The first rule. Never turn your back to the ocean. And yet we see so many videos time and time again of people not paying attention to that first rule. Listen to your elders. Always show respect. That should be a common thing. However, in this day and age, I witness a lot of it not happening. I see a lot of the younger generation not respecting our elders. So I used to dive growing up. I used to go spearfishing as a kid. And there were definite rules whenever we were diving. First of all, never dive alone. Always have a partner with you. When we go down and under the reef shelf, that second diver had to be right over us watching us. Because sometimes you wouldn't even see the fin sticking out of the reef. You would have to go down and look into the reef to make sure they were okay. So my partner and I would always be checking on each other as we dove. There are definite signs of, if we're diving for octopus, we call them taco, but if we're diving for taco, you would look for definite signs of the white rocks that were outside on the reef, just kind of piled up together. And next to those white rocks would be a hole. In the hole, it would start changing colors because the octopus would change colors. So whenever you saw one, you knew that there was a second one nearby. And this was just common knowledge for us. A hole is a fish that we love to deep fry and eat. It is a delicacy here. But a hole always stays within the holes of the reef. So you'd have to dive into the hole to catch the hole. But we were always told that within the hole would always have eels, because the hole were easy catch for the eels. So me as a young man or young kid, I don't know, about 14 or 15, diving, I stuck my hand all the way in the hole. And I shot the fish, and I dropped my hand down, and an eel caught my arm. So I still have the eel bite on my arm here. So that was a good reminder for me. I understood quickly. So even opihi, I don't know how many of you know of opihi, but it's the shellfish that sticks to the rock. So whenever you go for opihi, many people die because they're facing their back to the ocean, first of all, trying to get it off of the rock. So never go alone whenever you're going to take opihi off the rocks. You always have to be mindful of your surroundings, the waves, all of nature you have to be aware of. So pay attention to nature and always ask permission. Be thankful when your task was done. Always, always say thank you at the end of it. Don't waste your food. Never carry pork over the pali, which is, that's just the way that we grew up. When you see plenty of the Eva birds, the frigate birds that fly out to the ocean for months at a time, when you see them all returning, you know that a storm is coming. So we would all watch these hundreds of Eva bird flying in, so we knew that it was time to prepare for a storm. Another thing to look for when we knew that a storm was coming was if we saw Kauai clearly from the North Shore. Like if you clearly see Kauai, then you knew that a storm was coming. So only before the storm was it absolutely clear. And then if you got caught in a rip current, you don't swim against the rip. You swim sideways to get out of the rip. That should be something else that is common knowledge. But all of these things were things that were instilled within us as we were growing up in the country especially. So I'm sure many of you had rules that you had to abide by wherever you grew up, whether it was in the city or the country. There are certain rules that you had to pay attention to because it meant life or death sometimes, right? So they were very, very important. And all of that leads to a deeper sense of understanding and eventually wisdom. A great article that I discovered while researching Maupopo was one that was written by a science group at the University of Hawaii that wanted to meld together the traditional ways of learning and the Western tradition or Western techniques of learning as well. And they put together in deep detail the differences between the two. So I'm going to just share a little bit of this. In Western learning is questioning first. You question first, exploration, analysis, and then reflection. In the Hawaiian learning, it is observation and listening, and then reflection, and then the practice, doing, and then lastly, the questioning. So Western science, and I'm quoting here, Western science seeks to explain and predict universal truths about the natural world explicitly through theories and principles, whereas traditional Hawaiian knowledge embeds universal truths about the natural world implicitly through language and culture. Olelo no'eau, what I just shared, are metaphors. Ka'au, stories and legends. Oli, hula, mele, the hula that you got to see earlier. These are stories that are trapped within the dance, within the songs, within the words that we share. And then kaka'olelo, which is oratory. Traditional Hawaiian knowledge originated out of practical needs for human sustenance. In ancient times, native Hawaiians focused on determining and predicting local patterns and phenomena as an applied practice because the lack of appreciation for place-based knowledge and idiosyncrasies could cause devastating results. So we had to be very aware, to our environment and what was happening around us, and I think much more so in ancient times. And lastly, from this article, it says, in native Hawaiian culture and worldview, the physical and metaphysical may be considered one and the same. That was by Kanahele in 1978. Physical and metaphysical phenomena cannot necessarily be disguised or distinguished, nor should they be, and therefore metaphysical explanations for observable phenomena
are entirely valid. So when we talk about aloha, aloha is for me very, very spiritual. It is something that resonates on equal ground with who God is, with what we think this incredible spirit of love is. That is aloha to me. So if we're going to say aloha to one another, we vibrate on that level, or we should vibrate. If we're saying aloha as just a hello and goodbye, then we're misusing the word. Because again, to say aloha and to truly mean that means that I give all of myself to you. You give all of yourself to me. I freely receive that, right? That is the truth of what aloha really is. Of course, every time I speak, I always go to Nanaviri, because Nanaviri was a powerful force in expressing these things. She was a metaphysical practitioner, and she brought awareness to that melding of the two. Hawaiian culture was very metaphysical, right? Everything that we taught was very spiritual. Everything had a breath. Everything had a life, including the rocks outside, including the grounds here. When we talk about holy ground, when we had that meeting the one time, this is holy ground here. Everything that we step on is holy ground, and we have to treat it as such. Everything has a breath. All nature awaits our recognition, acceptance, and cooperation with it. All that aloha is around us and within us, and eternally asking us to recognize it. Those who live without spiritual vision and understanding are forever trying to solve problems by manipulating their human minds and exerting their human wills. This does not work in the end, because all problems begin and end in the individual's own mind. As we realize that aloha is the basis for our individual consciousness, we begin to solve our problems at their point of origin, which is within ourselves. If you're going to understand anything, understand that you are aloha. I'm not holding anybody else responsible for giving me that aloha. When I do weddings, I tell people that the rings only symbolize that love. The rings cannot ever hold that love for you. You are the love. You lose the rings, you lose the value that might sting your pocketbooks or something, but you don't lose love. The love is already you. And that is so important for people to realize. Sometimes we're so confined into little boxes where we forget of who we really are. I want to share with you a song that I wrote, and this song takes us back to our ancestors. And I don't know if I start singing it and I go off key, then I'm going to just speak it. So bear with me. It's called Kupuna Within Me. And to me, it connects me to my grandparents, to all of her lineage or their lineages that are still here, whispering in my ear, guiding me as I walk the walk, you know. And I'm always open. I'm always listening. Here we go. If I never shown you the stars, or where Jupiter is to Mars, then we're only getting started. Or how a wave breaks on the reef, how to hold your breath and dive deep, then we've only just begun. There's so much I have to show you before my time is gone, from the ones who came before me, who taught me to be strong. In my heart they tell the stories of a time they once were free. I share with you the secrets of my kupuna within me. How the wind blows through the valley as birds soar high above. They will whisper to you gently sweet songs of love. And the rainbow gives its blessing to everything below as the sun comes shining through. There's so much I have to show you before my time is gone, from the ones who came before me, who taught me to be strong. In my heart they tell the stories of a time they once were free. I share with you the secrets of my kupuna within me. Close your eyes. Can you hear their voices singing?
In my heart I feel alive to know within their singing. Let me tell you of the stars. There is Jupiter and Mars in the early evening twilight. As the moon begins to shine, let me tell you of a time old Hawaii was our home. Mahalo. Thank you. So, I want you to feel that in your own way, in your own time. If this means for you to go sit on the beach or go in the middle of Kapiolani Park and just sit down in the middle of the grass and feel everything around you, when that time is right for you to connect with who you really are, then take advantage of that time. Sit with yourself. And when you think it's just yourself, it's not. It's everybody, all your ancestors around you as well, whispering these things into you. Listen, observe, keep your mouth closed. Just feel everything that's happening around you. I want you to, I'm going to close with this meditation, so I want you to dive deep, just as the song said. So close your eyes, and I want you to just take in that breath. Go ahead and inhale. And let go of everything, all the things that are causing separation within you. Let it go, let it go, let it go. Take in another deep breath. And let it all go again. On this breath that you inhale, imagine only pure light. Imagine only this divine light that we were born with. Imagine only that purest of aloha that you are inhaling. So go ahead and take that last breath. And as you release it, everything is cleansed. Everything is free. There's nothing that separates us from each other. There's nothing that holds us back from experiencing this love. This love often feels to me like a powerful flow. Flow, whether it's the ocean's flow or the air that we breathe, the synchronicity of nature. We are a part of it, of this beautiful dance. This beautiful dance that we find ourselves dancing with everyone, with all of nature, allowing ourselves to be free. When we allow our minds to let go, then we can dance. I want you to know who you are. I want you to feel and experience. And if you don't know, dive deeper. You can ask your ancestors for help. You can ask those around you who are helping to guide you for help. But find it. Find this beautiful love that you are. And give it, as Relsan says, you give all of it until you think you cannot give anymore. And then when you're on your last breath, you give. Even within that breath, you give. Who are you? Who are we meant to be? This is aloha. Mahalo, mahalo.
you.